Right, everyone, I'm just going to pull up my notes here. I left my iPad at home. Don't you know when you get to a stage in life, and you know that stage in life is a real stage because your eyes just weren't what they used to be? And I got laser eye surgery, so now I want a refund because I'm like, man, this is kicking up real quick. Okay, so again, going back to the theme of the day, preparation, we have some expert panelists here. We're just going to take some time. I'm just trying to move this over a little bit. Okay. We're going to take some time to get to know each of our queens here who are at different ends and spectrums of the real estate industry. And I am not going to sabotage you all's wonderful expertise, so I'll let you introduce yourselves. And if we have time, I would love to have questions from the audience, but I also have questions from what folks submitted during the registration. So if you could just quickly say your name and what you do in this real estate space.
All right. So my name is Denise Johnson. Okay. I am a housing counselor, a HUD certified housing counselor, and a proud member of Kingdom Fellowship.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm Asa Counsel. I am a senior mortgage consultant, and I am a member of Kingdom Fellowship as well as the Faith and Finance Committee.
Hello, everybody. I'm Karen Johnson, and I work in the community and economic development space, primarily in Baltimore City and DC, and really help people in all aspects of the ecosystem to get connected to building communities and investing and really helping to pull ourselves up. And I'm a member of Kingdom Fellowship and part of the EEIC committee.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Townsend. I am a licensed real estate agent. I'm actually a broker, an associate broker for a couple states, but Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I am a member of Kingdom Fellowship. I am the biggest clown on stage, so I'll make sure I'm serious today as we speak, but glad to see you all.
So we have three main audiences in the room. Correct me if I'm wrong. We have investors, folks that want to grow their real estate portfolio. We have home buyers, assuming first-time home buyers, maybe some second-time buyers. And then, of course, we have current home owners. And so as we go down, please, just respective to your place in this industry and your expertise, which audience do you serve the most, and how do you serve that audience?
So as a HUD certified housing counselor, we serve all areas of the market. So we help first-time home buyers understand and navigate the home buying process, along with knowing different down payment programs that are available. If you are a current homeowner and you are having any difficulties, we help you navigate home retention and help you to understand how to purchase your next property. If you are an investor, we help you also to navigate that process, and so that you will understand what qualifications are necessary to get financing for investment properties. So we help with all areas.
What I do is I serve DC, Maryland, Virginia, and North Carolina. I help investors, first-time home buyers, buyers who are trying to invest, and those buyers who are in between. They're trying to move out of the existing property, move into a bigger property, or move down, go into retirement communities that you purchased as well. Primarily, the focus is on educating you, showing you the pathways to home ownership, pathways to become investors, as well as pathways to actually retain your existing home when you're moving up and become an investor yourself.
And I help primarily communities and primarily disinvested communities. Those communities in Baltimore where you have a lot of blight, a lot of vacant properties, and really try to bring investment, whether it's the homeowner trying to stay in the community and fight off gentrification efforts, if it's new home buyers wanting to come in, if they're renters, and just really trying to provide access to all resources that can help them come in the community. If you're a business owner, trying to make sure business owners that are legacy business owners stay in the community and not are driven out with taxes and just new incentives coming in. If you're a new business, help you to understand what you need to think about to come into this community. If you are an investor, I really try to help connect folks. The thought of preparation is key, but also knowing who you're working with. Do not, if you can build a team around you who you can really depend on, and that they've done a great body of work, you want to connect to them. So I try to be that connecting source to get investment, and also developers. If you're a big-time developer, smaller developer, trying to figure out what project you need to focus on, what area in the community you need to come to, I try to be that connecting piece. So working in East Baltimore, where you had a huge redevelopment effort, in West Baltimore, in DC with developers, primarily in disinvested areas, that's where my focus is. So I just try to be that connecting piece and try to help people to understand the community that they're moving into.
Awesome. For me, I like to live by my tagline, making real estate needs reality. I have a different approach probably than a lot of agents, and there's a lot of agents out here, which I love, because there's enough out there for us to all have a piece of the pie. And when you partner with me, I am very serious about financial literacy, so I'm a very hands-on with my clients. In real estate, you'll see that there are various swim lanes that people can participate in. I do not overstep those boundaries, but I do like to, the keyword, prepare my clients for having that conversation with the loan originator, so that I can say, hey, how close are you with your financial preparedness? What's your credit score? Do you know what's on it? What is your purpose of wanting to do real estate? And just ask questions like that, so that when we get to the ACEs out there and other people, they can say, you know what, you really are ready to pull that trigger and move forward. Or if not, we say we work on a plan. I work with a lot of my clients from the beginning on creating a plan, because I realized that I'm very passionate about first-time home buyers. I have my own struggles and woes back in the great state of Texas, where they told me you won't be able to buy a house. And I said, what you're not going to do is tell me what I can't do. And 4 homes later, I kind of did a few things, but I had to learn. And so my testimony is shared quite often with some of my clients, because I'm going to know a lot about you. I'm not going to know everything, but I have a lot of transparency. Look, if you trust and believe me, I can help you make your real estate needs reality.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So before we get into the investment side of the fence, let's start on the first-time home buyer side of the fence. Just remind me, raise your hand if you're interested in buying your first home. Awesome, great, okay. So first question here, is this a good time to buy a home?
Absolutely. I tell clients all the time, it's always a great time to buy. The time is when you are ready to buy. But don't let anything stop you from making that step, taking that step to home ownership, because it's important. It creates generational wealth. I'm a strong believer in educating, giving you the knowledge that you need to prepare, and also talking to you about rates, because everybody talks about rates. Rates are they're just what they are. And to be honest with you, don't focus on that. Focus on what you can afford, your payment, and does it make sense for you, and how we navigate through that process to get you to the payment that you're looking for. So it's always a great time to become an investor, to become a homeowner, and to purchase real estate. You can't go wrong.
And to back up what Sister Asa said, like she said, it's always a good time. People will say, I'm waiting for the rates to fall, I'm waiting for the market to crash. Well, that's kind of selfish. Because the thing is, if you're a homeowner, I don't want the market to crash, because there's a thing called equity that was mentioned earlier. Also, I tell some of my clients, I work with a lot of younger people, and I said, look, you can't help when you were born. Yes, the rates may have been higher, or they were 13% when my parents bought their first homes. So when I bought, they were lower, but again, the market's gonna go up and down. And if you keep waiting for that perfect time to buy, the prices are gonna keep going up. Inventory is probably gonna be kind of low, or it depends on where we are. But there are still factors, economics comes into play. So it's a matter of, if you were in that position to do it, it's your first home, it's probably not your forever home. So managing expectations is a huge thing. Take the plunge.
And I can also add, I think about making lemonade. When those of us who took advantage of those COVID low interest loans, those are great, but now don't want to ever move out of them. So, the only thing you can do is go up. So if you, do your first home purchase with a high interest loan, there could be opportunities to refinance Those are great opportunities to just do better things, to invest, pay off debt, and things like that. So there's, just like everyone is saying, there's always, you got to look at the bright side and take advantage of the opportunity. But the biggest thing is to make sure you've prepared for that opportunity and you know what you're getting yourself involved with.
So I'm going to date myself. When I got into the mortgage banking business, there was a refi boom because interest rates had gone from 16 to 14%. So rates are relative.
Rates are relative. That needs to be a bumper sticker. So go ahead.
I wanted to say one more thing. When we talk about the rates in relationship to your payment, it is important because you want to understand what it means to you, not how can it destroy you in your process, right? So I tell clients, and this is real facts. Most people refinance their homes in the first 5 years of having it. So the reality is that most people are not going to retain that same interest rate over the period of home ownership. Additionally, today, the way it exists, most people are purchasing their second homes within that 5 to 7 year period. So that's where you have to really relatively look at what it is that you're doing, what makes sense. Does this rate make sense for me in conjunction to the payment that I'm receiving?
Excellent. And if you all have any questions, are the postcards for the questions? Do you want to read them out or collect them? Cool. Okay, we'll just keep on going. Let me know when you're ready. Talk to us about, for first-time buyers, down payment and closing cost assistance, but let's focus on the down payment assistance. What is it and how does it help the buyer?
So there are several ways to get down payment or closing cost assistance. There are different county or the state programs, even some city programs are available, but there are also lender-specific programs. So there are funds available. I think you mentioned it earlier. There are options. There are options, and you won't know about it until you ask. You will never see a commercial that says the District of Columbia has $202,000 to give. You won't see that. You won't see a commercial from Prince George County about their $25,000. You just won't. Anne Arundel County's $50,000. They're not advertising that. They give that information to the professionals, and they hope, maybe they hope, that you'll find out about it.
I will ditto Denise on that one because not everybody shares that because the process can, even for loan officers, some loan officers don't want to do down payment assistance. I am the down payment assistance queen, as they say, wherever I am, because I believe in assistance clients to get into a home. Keep in mind, down payment assistance are also relative to partnerships with those organizations. So not every single lender that you touch will be able to provide you with that down payment assistance program. So you have to be careful as well. So if you're a first-time home buyer, you know you're someone who needs to tap into or would like to tap into down payment assistance funds, the lender that you're working with, they also have to be tied to that program as well to actually offer that. So you can't go over to lender A and they do your loan, your first mortgage, and then go to lender B who has the programs, but you're not using them for your main financing. That lender you use has to also be able to provide the down payment assistance program. So that's one key point that you need to know. And again, like Denise says, lenders also have their own in-house programs and products as well. So you need to be certified as well with some of the programs. Some programs don't allow the loan originators to originate their programs unless they've gone through their training as well. So there's a lot of caveats in the down payment assistance space. You want to make sure that your loan officer is familiar with the programs that you're using so that they will be able to navigate you through that process, and especially the requirements that the organizations have. Additionally, with some programs such as PG Pathways to Purchase that offers the $25,000, you want to make sure that your agent is also familiar with these programs because that can be a disaster as well. Because if they're not familiar with it, they don't understand what the program's inspectors are looking for, what requirements need to be in the home, and those requirements may be even more stringent than the appraisal requirements. So that is very key to make sure that you're vetting whoever you are using for your program. and financing.
And I just want to add to that perfect point. As an agent, sometimes we get thrust into this thing of you'll meet someone, they'll say, well, I want to get a house, I don't have any money, what can I do? And so they'll mention these down payment programs, and to the point that Asa said is your loan originator, your lender needs to be familiar with the program. Tell us, because we don't know everything. There's a lot to keep up with. So if I say I'm not familiar with that, then I go to my trusted partners and say, look, can you educate my client about this? Because we want to make sure they understand, because there are some things that are not very clear either. And each program set it differently. You may have a different interest rate. It may be a loan. It may be forgivable. There's a lot of factors to it. So when people are doing their research, have the open mind and understand, and do not be afraid to ask your originator the questions, because this is what you're going to be signing on that dotted line and understanding the components to that financing.
And lastly, where you move can also create some opportunities. There are a lot of, I've worked in many disinvested areas, and there's so many incentives. Live Baltimore, different jurisdictions have a lot of incentive programs just to get you to move there. And, it's interesting when you think of some of these communities and you say, I wouldn't want to live there, but when you go in and see the richness, the culture, the architecture, it really is an opportunity to have a beautiful house, and you have a lot of incentives to get into that house. So it's not just, it comes in different forms, the type of money you can get to get into a home, especially first-time home buyers. And if you're a public servant, if you're a teacher, police officers, communities are doing a lot of different things to get the right mix of people in the community. So really look into that and see what you're doing to create some opportunities to get into a community.
And they're not meant for investors, so know that.
And we're going to get to the investor piece in just a second. But Karen, I wanted you to just talk a bit more about Baltimore. I'm a DC native, and growing up, Baltimore is an hour away, and it easily, in my mind, could have just been on a whole nother planet. But now that I've gotten older and we do a lot of work in Baltimore, I too am very aware of the beauty of Baltimore, the opportunities in Baltimore. So why is this Baltimore's time? What is going on?
Well, I'm from Nashville originally, but my father's from Baltimore, and I've had the opportunity to work in Baltimore. And I used to think it was an hour away, but it's actually like 25 minutes away from this area. So Baltimore is honestly the most affordable urban area on the East Coast right now. And there's a lot of vacant homes. And with proper leadership, we all know how important leadership is. Governor Wes Moore, Mayor Scott, they are very focused and intentional about getting rid of the vacant properties. And with that, you have to create opportunities, whether it's bringing the right lending opportunities, incentives. So Baltimore has beautiful homes. You can get a brownstone, 5,000 square feet for $5,000 if you go through the right programming. First-time home buyers have excellent opportunities to get a home for $1. And once you connect yourself to the right people, you can get in those neighborhoods. So it's really a real focus on making Baltimore a place where you want to live. It's a beautiful, great restaurants, great food, great. You would think I should be paid for how much I love Baltimore, but it's really just a great place to live. And I say also to younger people, when you build community and you want to bring your friends and you want to think of a place where you can, create your businesses, there's a lot of main streets that are getting a lot of money to pour business into bringing new businesses in, to shore up old businesses, and just to do the infrastructure and just that intentionality. So I feel like Baltimore's the place to be because they're very intentional about getting people to move there, and there's just beautiful, beautiful homes and opportunities to live, work, and play there.
And let me jump in on that part too. If we don't take advantage of those opportunities,
Say that part.
that's, yes. If we don't take advantage, others certainly will. And we've seen it already happen to DC and parts of Prince George County, and we're not even going to talk about Montgomery. But the city of Baltimore, and I guess we could be a commercial for it, because there are so many financial opportunities to purchase in Baltimore, and really it's going to be one of the few places in this area that's affordable still, that's really still affordable. And I think some of the other folks have you take two people and we'll take two people, and so on and so on If you're young, you don't know about that. But that's how gentrification starts. And so right now, a lot of money is being poured into the Baltimore, city of Baltimore especially, area, with hopes that we will take advantage of that. But we're not, because we have our own preconceived notions. When you can go into the city and buy a beautifully remodeled home and bring your friends, and you create the community, as Karen said. Because again, if we don't, they will.
And they are.
Yet another bumper sticker. You know what? You need to go into the bumper sticker business, okay? That's exactly right. That's the last thing on Baltimore. Baltimore is today what DC was probably about 15 years ago, 10, 15 years. It's right on that cusp. It's right on that tipping point, that turning point. So just keep that in mind. Let's move over to the world of investment. Many times, and again, when you're buying even your first home, you are a real estate investor just because you're investing your money in that purchase. So don't feel like real estate investing has to come when you're trying to buy, you know, a multi-unit and do something super, super, super big and glamorous. Starting in real estate is investing in real estate regardless of where you start. Now, for those who gotten their first home, now they're moving up from there, what are three, and we could just do one each, very simple ways to tiptoe into real estate investing?
I would say the first would be to get a multi-unit and live in one.
Just talk a little bit more about that.
So as a first-time home buyer, you could actually purchase a 4-unit property. You live in one of those properties, and then you have renters in the other 3 units. That's creating rental income for you, and probably is going to pay your mortgage. That's the perfect way to get into investing on a small scale, but on a big scale on the other side.
And even on a smaller scale, I mean, if you have your current home and you have a space, like some people I know will live in their basement and they rent the upper portion of their homes out. So now what you're doing is you're starting to get the feeling of what it is to be a bit of a landlord, but you can also use your financial fortitude and save your money to put towards your next purchase, because you're going to be charging more most likely for that rent than what your mortgage is.
And I would say connect with others who've done it, and preparation. It all goes back to preparation, but making sure you either partner or just, spend a lot of time with those who've done it before, because investing is not for the faint of heart. And you really have to do your homework and make sure that you're doing everything you can to know where you're going, the neighborhood. One thing about Baltimore, we can be a commercial, but you can be on one block in Baltimore and it's great, and the block over could be a problem because you have vacant properties, you won't be able to get insurance, a number of things that could impact your investment. So doing your homework and connecting with others who've already done it before you jump out there.
The cheapest way to become an investor is to make your primary residence your investment property. Whenever you purchase an investment property, the down payment is more, and interest rates are a little higher on investment loans. But if each property that you purchase becomes your primary residence, then you're only paying primary residence interest rates. You only have primary residence down payment requirements, and you're still building your portfolio. Just every time you move up, make the one you leave your investment property.
Can I add one thing? And that is so key. And also making sure you stay on top of all the regulations, all the things you have to do to register your properties, if they're rental properties. Stay on top of it from the beginning and understand when you sell that investment property, the impact. Capital gains is nothing to play with. And, just all of that. So making sure you do your homework and position yourself for success for when you have to dispose of the property or do whatever you need to do with it.
And lastly, I would say do your due diligence. I know for me, I'm kind of risk averse at times. I'm working on expanding my amount of risk out there because I also listen to people. So if they have a vision, they say, I want to go here. Well, do your due diligence, because there's been times people have purchased somewhere and that community is not going to be investor friendly, or it could be next to some plant that's not very eco-friendly. So there's different things you got to pay attention to the location, the rules and regulations around it, and just do your due diligence and get the people involved who tell you, hey, this, they can't tell you what's not and what's smart and what isn't, but they can give you their guidance, and you hopefully will follow that path.
Just one last thing. Location is always key, especially if it's not a long-term property for you to be in as a primary resident, and if it's not a long-term investment as an investor. Condos especially. Geographically, you need to understand the condo market wherever you go. From PG County to Montgomery County, there are different caveats. Portions of PG County where you purchase a condo may be better than, meaning a better opportunity to purchase because you're not going to get the same issues like, I'm kind of going outside and stretching, but what we call non-warrantable condos is extremely important. That means that that condo project is not warrantable. So one, a lender may give you difficulty trying to finance that property because condo fees are delinquent at above standard levels. There are programs and products that will still allow you to purchase a non-warrantable condo. However, again, you got to understand your risk. You got to understand the timing. How long will you plan on keeping that property? If you're not planning on keeping it for a long period of time, it's not a flip, okay? It's not a flip. Because when you flip it, you likely won't be able to sell it because the condo market typically in our geographical area in the DMV is for first-time home buyers. So they're getting financing. And if they're getting financing and this property is non-warrantable, they can't do it in most cases, okay? There are options. If they have great credit, they have 10% down, you know, there are some ways to get around that, but just as you are a consumer, they are consumers. And I like to educate my buyers, so when people are running into that situation, I do make them aware of the consequences of being in that type of unit, in that condo project. So just educate yourself.
Y'all, what's the word of the day? Prepare. That's right. That's right. I said prepare. Y'all say preparation. All the same thing, but you're right. Preparation. And we have to prepare for these transactions because, as our ladies have said, as our panelists have said, when you're buying your first home, buying that second home, whatever, you're now a real estate investor. You are starting a business. You're managing a business. You have employees. Those employees are the contractors that come in, the repairmen, and do work on your house. You got to be careful because if you're not, you will spend a lot of money unnecessarily. Your partners, your people that you're hiring are everyone on this stage. You know, your home ownership advisor, your lender, your realtor, etc. So it's so important that preparation piece is important because each one of our panelists have said something that is very, very relevant, very true. But it can be a lot of information, so it's great that you all are already out here getting information and just continuing the journey. Before I go to the next question, how much time do I have? Because this is getting good. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay. All right, so now, my pressure's getting up with this question. My pressure's rising. Okay, Reverend Loxley, you may have to call in the medics because somebody is asking about buying with their family. So, what is a starting point for family members to come together to buy property? Anyone can answer. Hope and a prayer and a wish. Go ahead, Asa.
A little more clarity in that, but are you saying the purchase price, the money? Can somebody elaborate on that? What are you talking about?
They specific, an add-on to the question is, how do we get funding for the property? But I want to just start to wind this in. Should you buy with your family? Is every real estate purchase, do you need a partner in it?
Absolutely not. You don't always need a partner. You can literally do it yourself. You just have to talk to the professionals. And I'm not a singer, but I will definitely tell you, talk to the professionals. Not talking to a professional can be very difficult when you start the process with a family member. You need to know the dynamics of your family member's credit, a lot of real intimate personal information that in the beginning, it sounds great. Yes, let's buy a house together. And then when you all start getting to the nits and the bolts of what it takes to purchase that home, what you look like may look very different than what your family member may look like, or vice versa. So you have to educate yourself in that process as well. I'd say you all should do a consult before you decide to buy together.
Building that plan, I have family members, and there's some I won't do business with, period. If they are not serious about their finances, what you're not going to do is bring me down. So you want to make sure you're equally aligned. Now, it doesn't mean everybody has to be on the same page. If you have one that's stronger in the family with understanding finances and the vision, being the visionary, put it on paper. Put it out there, document it, and say, okay, what is your role here? You know, are we doing equal ownership? Are we doing 5% here? What's your spit in the deal here? And really getting an understanding of where they present themselves. Or do they want to be in that? You may have somebody who wants to live in the home. You may have someone who says, we just want to have it, but I don't want to do the landlord, or is this person going to be the contractor? There are roles that you will want to have each person have those be set out, and then understand, okay, well, if I'm putting more money in here, does that mean I have more ownership here? Because that's when things get funny. When the money gets funny, that's when the business tends to go awry at times. But there are a lot of successful families out there, so it really is having those meetings. Have it where, you know, if Ray Ray's not showing up and Day Day's over here, then somebody's not serious. You need to operate in a matter of, this is business. We're a family, but if we're going to do this, we need to do it the right way.
And adding to that, just know who your family members are, and, you know, go from there and just understand how you deal with conflict, you know, and just really be very honest about who you're dealing with. And I really do think there could be some missed opportunities for folks, you know, for our community. When you look at the big real estate firms, and especially the majority firms, they're families. You know, when you look at the Rockefellers, you look at everyone else, they're able to do it. They're able to figure it out. Now, they may have some different value systems to make sure they're successful, but we have a great value system. So really just positioning yourself to work with the family members, to have the honest conversation. But I think you have to really dip your toe in and don't have higher expectations of people and family members than you already know that you should have.
You know, just to piggyback off of that, there are cultures that purchase this way, and they're successful at it. And with the rising cost of houses, that might be something that you have to take a look at. But you have to do all of your homework and understand that how you start most likely will not be how you finish. So,
And just to add, all jokes aside, as you mentioned, multicultural homes or multi-generational homes could be a way. There are plenty of people out there, as you mentioned, that are successful. So it's a matter of understanding, here's where we are with this, and understanding that those means may be different because they may come from what we call as old money. Old money's nice to have, but it doesn't mean that you all cannot put yourself in that position. So it's a matter of being smart about your budget, because you want to have something in that. Most times investors, if even you're doing smart, like a hard money lender, you still need to have the ability to pay that higher interest rate back. And the draws are going to come in. So you're a matter of saying, do we have the financial fortitude and stamina with us in case we do incur some delays? How are we going to handle those delays?
One last thing, and I think it all goes back to making sure you partner and you connect yourself with the experts. If you're going to do a joint venture or something with family, have those financial planners, those folks who know how to, you know, your legal team, everyone who can put that agreement together, and your spiritual advisors and everyone around you to make sure that we're doing this the right way and we're not relying on ourselves, who are not the experts in putting these type of joint ventures and collaborations together.
Awesome. So don't be mad at me, y'all. We don't have time for all the questions, but there are breakout sessions that you can go to right after this where you could go deeper into these topics. But as we close out here, we talk a lot and have been talking a lot about acquiring the property. Let's talk about making it last and passing it down. Whatever advice that you have, you know, many folks in this room, they have, you know, again, with our community so often, So many folks are telling us what we don't have. But it's so important to look at what we do have and how to retain it and grow it. So, what advice would you all give based on your personal experience, professional experience, to just help to have these conversations with mom, dad, auntie, grandma, grandpa about estate planning?
I'll start it off. I'll just say, pay your taxes. Pay your taxes.
That's a real one. Put that down. Go ahead.
I mean, property taxes. You can have a lovely property and also the upkeep of it. People will walk by in certain communities. We talk about gentrification. There's a rationale to gentrification, how they identify the places. Even if you're an area is going to be gentrified or not, if you're not maintaining that property by paying those taxes, you are now giving yourself the ability to get it sold for pennies on the dollar and you don't know it. Check your mail, okay? And also keep the upkeep of the property. When you have a place that looks dilapidated or is not kept up, that's also going to draw attention. So somebody thinks, oh, nobody's there. That's a prime place for me to start looking at.
I'll piggyback on what Jessica said. I was going to say taxes was one thing. You need to be checking actually the public tax records for the county and where the property is sitting. So make sure if you are owner now, that even though you may have an escrow account, that you are still checking. If you're in PG County, you're going to the PG County's property tax website to check to make sure your mortgage company is paying your taxes. The other thing that I'll say, and it's something that has been really intense personally for me for the last probably few years, is estate planning. Estate planning is important, and the reason why it's important is because the conversations prior to, like we just had conversations with our kids who are all grown, adults, about our will and our trust and how it's set up, and then having conversations, because we had an attorney say to us, well, you all have this set up this way. How do your kids feel about this? Being equal owners when it's more than one or two people can become a problem after you're gone. So do you believe that they will handle it the way you want them to handle it? So ask the questions. Ask the questions and have the conversations, as well as understand when you have a property that's been in your family for a long, long time. What's going on? How can I help grandma? If grandma needs help so we won't lose this property, help grandma. Do what you got to do to keep the property in the house. So that's what I'll say about that question.
And I'll also add, if it's a vacant property, pay attention, because those taxes and those penalties will increase, and you can, goes back to the tax sales, things like that, unpaid water bills. In Baltimore City, you can lose a house for not paying a water bill that's $500. And if you don't stay on top of it, you can lose your house. But also, you know, Asa brings a good point with, what are you leaving your children? It's hard being a landlord. And do they want to do all the work that comes along with it? And then if they decide to sell, did you leave them a property that now they're going to, you know, get capital gains and just so many opportunities to sink them? So really understand what they can stomach and figure out what that estate planning should look like, creating LLCs, trusts, you know, maybe selling it and converting, getting life insurance policies. There's just so many different things you can do. But if you're going to leave property to your heirs, making sure they're able to deal with all the dynamics that come along with being a landowner and property owner.
So we can't keep thinking we're too good for grandma's properties. That's
Because grandma properties are paid off.
paid off. That's it. That's it. They're paid off, and
In high equity areas, go ahead.
right. And we think, well, I don't want to live there. Well, guess what? Someone else does. I keep going back to that. Someone else does, and they will take a look at what you as a family can't pull together and bring together to save. Every time an heir property is lost, you're losing wealth. You're not losing it, you actually give it away. You're actually just tossing it to the side because no one wants to deal with it. We cannot keep thinking that the homes that we grew up in are too good for us, or we're not good, is not good enough for us now. This wealth, it's wealth, and there are so many vacant homes now. Someone owned them. Someone owned them and someone passed away, and the family members didn't care. And now it's creating blight in some areas and creating opportunities for gentrification in others. Let's just care more about grandma's house. That's where we grew up.
Can I? Sorry.
Make sure, I just wanted to say one thing. Just making sure with the vacant properties, one thing that most people don't know, and this is something that I've been having to educate some of my family on, just because we've had a lot of people passing and people, are getting older and going into nursing homes and their homes are becoming vacant. Check the tax record, because as soon as it becomes vacant, your elderly grandmother, your elderly auntie who were getting like the tax abatements or the tax credits or the reduction for senior credits, no longer, okay? Because once it becomes that vacant property and the county, the state, the city finds out, the taxes are very high.
There's no grandfathering. Yes. Just last, I know we love to talk. Have the conversation. Don't be afraid to have the conversation with your family. People often don't know because they keep things so secretive. And it's like, grandma worked hard for that house. So why give it away when it just took somebody to say, hey, grandma, where do you stand with this? People had reverse mortgages out there and people didn't know it. And now they're like, well, we thought we had the house. Well, did you talk to grandma early when she needed to have that income every month coming in to go to the casino? No. Wherever that money was coming, you need to have the conversation to find out what is the status of the mortgage if there is one.
Absolutely.
One very last statement. And also, whoever is handling that estate property, don't let them be tired. Don't let them just say, I just want to sell it. I don't want to do the due diligence. A lot of our generational wealth is being lost because when people are tired, they've been the caregiver. They're just letting the property go to a wholesaler or someone else, and they're not getting the true value of the property.
Thank you all. Thank you all.